Good morning, Debbie. Good morning. Hi, Tina. All right. So, today hi Amy. I'm going to redo a post-it note holder. Unfortunately, I don't even have one with me because I made it so long ago that actually if you go back here on my YouTube, I just updated the name of it. Because I did have it titled as sticky note holder because I wasn't really quite sure that if I did post-it note if I would get in trouble. So I did change the name so you could find it more easily. I am always up early. I don't always craft early because I'm not always 100% sure if people are going to be up early, Tina, but I am up early. The Rainbow Stamper is a very early riser. So I have a stack of post-it note here. I'm sure I have probably some ones that are fuller pads. So I'm going to just use this just for measurement wise. But what I actually did was I just went back in and cased my own directions. So we're going to make one today. I am going to take some advice from you all on what type of paper you would specifically like to use. And then I figured I'd show you a couple other things in the meantime. So good morning. So the stars, yes, I actually made a card. So here's a little backstory on this. I got these dies and I actually have another idea. And I'm going to see if anybody knows what it is I'm going to make of it because I thought this would be cute. I was fooling around yesterday with the stars. These are called, I think, the Stitched Stars. Yes, the Stitched Stars dies. These have a lot of stuff. They're great for doing nesting projects. So I just taped these three together with a little purple tape. And I wanted to do something kind of where you had like a little bit of a layer to them because I thought it would be neat. This would be great to do for a military appreciation card, Veterans Day, many of the other Memorial Day, any of the other things you'd like to use if you were looking for a card maybe for 4th of July, or if you just wanted to send a card to someone in the military. There's lots of stars, so that's wonderful for that. Also, this one here, this actually has 5 pieces, so you could have stars, and they're kind of a cutout design. So if you can see them like that, and these actually cut out to be really, really thin. Oh, please don't mind. I cut my hand last night. So they're really thin. So these will form stars, as you can see them on there. But to me, they look like something different. So I ended up cutting a few of them out, and I'm going to make something of this card. So leave some guesses on here. Now, if you're watching this after the fact, your comment will stay live. If you're watching this live, unfortunately, the comments do disappear. But I will try to keep track, and go ahead back and leave a guess on here after the fact if you don't mind going back and watching again. And I'm actually going to pick a winner, and I will send something to them as a thank you. But what I did was, I'll show you, I kind of started cutting these out because I thought that this color cardstock, which this one is part of the lily paper, the other side I thought looked really nice with navy. So that's kind of how I started out. And then there was another one that I was like, well, this color kind of looks nice too. So this is what I ended up coming up with after the fact. So what I did was I just flipped some of these papers around, and then always remember was I thought a really nice sentiment, and that's actually in, hold on, I have all these things over here. That's in the Peaceful Moments stamp set, which coordinates with the Peaceful Poppies dies, which I kind of think is really nice that they have that in because poppies are a longtime symbol of, I guess, a peaceful thing after war, which I could be wrong, but so I thought this was nice. You could just add this in because we, in my opinion, don't have a lot of sentiments to be able to send people for appreciation, specifically in the United States, for appreciation for their service. So I thought this was a nice one. Now, granted, I probably would have chose something that was more maybe red, white, and blue, or maybe like I made the cards that were the fatigue, and then you could put gold foil or silver foil or something around it. But anyway, I thought this was nice. So that was one. And then another card I made that I will tell you, I'm not 100% thrilled with, only because I'm not really great, if you all know, at simple stamping. And this stamp set coordinates with the stitched dies. So you can even see that this is in the shape of a star here. So actually what you could do is, I think it's this one. You could even stamp this and cut it out, because it will fit into the frame. So you could almost have like a flower on a star, which would be really pretty because then you would just use one, and it does have the stitching. And then the Morning Glory bloom does fit in here. So what I came up with was this. And it did take a little bit of work, and of course I had to like add some extra spray to it. But what I did was I did this in multiple layers of ink. So I did this with soft sea foam, and then I actually went back and added a little bit of Pear Pizzazz over the top of it. And then I did Highland Heather. So the darker images are Highland Heather, and then I stamped them off for the second images. And yes, it is not sunny here at all today. It is very overcast. It has looked all week like it was going to rain, but it hasn't really rained. If you happen to have Purple Posy ink, if you manage to get a hold of it, you could do Purple Posy for these, but they are really, really light. It's a super light color, which unfortunately, that's kind of why they discontinued it, because it wasn't inking to the quality that they wanted. So, and then I just went in and added a little bit of yellow, and I sponged the edges with the soft seafoam. And then I went in with a sponge dauber, and I believe I used Daffodil Delight because I wanted it to be bright, and I kind of just sponged the centers. So this, for me, this is just a one-layer card. I did do it on Thick Whisper White, and then I used the sentiment, "Each day is a new beginning." Thought that was really pretty. So kind of simple, almost for me too simple. So what do you guys think? Are you happy when you make a card that's just ink on paper? Because I have a hard time with feeling like it's enough. So what I ended up doing was, I don't know if you can see it on here, but I sprayed it with the shimmer mist that I made the other day. So I was trying to jazz it up a little bit. But anyway, so thank you, Gail. Thank you for that. I appreciate your likes. So it is definitely cold here. It's not as cold as it was yesterday, but it is really overcast and yucky. It's not very pretty, 100% at all. Let's see. Your browser crashed. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry about that. Well, you know what? That's Facebook for you, right? All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to, and I'm going to clean these up. So I might share these in the future on something else. But I thought it was kind of funny. And the other thing I did was I actually popped them up on dimensionals, if you can see that. So I popped the first star layer up with the strips, and these are different heights. So remember that you don't want to use these together. So if you're putting a card together and you're like, oh, but this place, it's too small for a dimensional, I'll put a strip. They're two different heights. So they do not match up. So that's just a tip, just in case. And I'll get them out to show you what I mean, because I did that one time on a card. And all it took was one time, because after that I realized they were definitely not the same. So the dimensionals are not as high as the foam strips. The foam strips are taller. I know that's not so easy to see, but the foam strips are probably like 2/16 of an inch, and these are probably about 1/8 of an inch. So you can't use them together. But what I did was I did the foam strips for the bottom star, and then I actually put 3 dimensionals stacked together for the little tiny star. And I ended up using the black so they wouldn't be seen. So it would have been nicer if we had black foam strips as well. But, you know, beggars can't be choosers. At least we have black dimensionals now. So what we're going to do is we're going to make the Post-it note holder. And again, in case you couldn't find it, I used to call it the sticky note holder because I wasn't sure if I was allowed to say Post-it note, if it was some sort of copyright infringement. That was probably one of my very first videos, so I was really being careful. And I didn't even have all my supplies listed like I do now, and I probably talked a lot quieter because I was filming while Christian was sleeping. But anyway, now I'm loud because he's at school, and I realized that my loudness didn't wake him up anyway. So I was thinking with the Post-it note holder, we could either do green as the background and make it bright, or if we wanted to, which we still really could use green, we could do the bee paper, because we could do green and then use the bees to make it pop, or we could use the dots, because I haven't really used the bee paper too much. I did use the other side, which that video will be coming out, I told you, in February. I did a part of a blog hop. So would we prefer that? Would we prefer the lily paper because it's really bright? I was thinking we could use the back side of one of these papers, which these are all really pretty. The other side of them, you have the purple. Hadn't used mint. No, I'm not going to be that mean. It's too early for me to be that, facetious. I love the purple too. It was really pretty. I want to tell you, this is the only side of paper that I think I just do not like this side because I was making my cards up the other day because we're going to make the pop and twist card at card class next month. Ooh, this one, I like this side a lot, but this side, whoa, too much. Too much. So, mint macaron. All right. So let's see. What do we have here? Anything. Bee paper. It is just, it's ugly. I mean, really, this is just not my thing. I hate to say that about it, but you know, sometimes there's some sides of paper where you're like, ooh, this is a lot. This one is gorgeous. I love this one. But I love that the backs of all of them, except for that one, are really pretty because you could use them for anything if you're not really into the lily portion. Bees. It does look like graffiti, and not good graffiti. It looks like bad graffiti. Like graffiti that somebody decided and they were like, nah, this doesn't look good. I'm out. I'm done. All right, I got the bees. So we'll do the bee paper. And I think we still could do it on the green because I think it might be a nice pop. I don't know why I want to do green this morning, but let me just hold a piece next to it and kind of see what it looks like if we were to use this. Oh, you know what I have to make sure of, though? Do I have the green in 12 by 12? Because you do need 12 by 12 for this. That doesn't look so bad. Let me see if I have it in 12 by 12, because that right there is a deciding factor. I may be doing this in a card color that I'm not in love with. Let's see. I have my Regals. Oh, holy cow. Hold on. Let me check my my hoards of paper here. I might not have the right hoard. I probably should have ordered some of that. Neutrals. I'll sing you a song while you're waiting for me to look for my paper here. Oh, those. Well, those papers aren't even in stock anymore. Well, we might have to use something that's kind of out of stock, and you're going to have to use your imagination. Dang. All right, well, I'm going to have to place an order because clearly I don't have the paper that I need. All right, let me see here. Which of these can I possibly pull something out of? I have Regals. I have Neutrals. Darn it. I thought for sure I had 12 by 12 of the in colors at least. Crafting fail. I'm kind of embarrassed. That's really sad. All right, well, here's what we're going to do. I might pull out... Oh, man. How disappointing is this? I know you guys are probably like, all right, get on with the card already. Hold on, I'm working on it. I'm really walking myself through this because I'm a little disappointed in myself. Okay, so here's what I have. Let's see. I also do have Whisper White, but I don't really think that's going to do much for it. And this one's going to be too dark. Okay, we're going to have to pick one of these. Darn it. Darn it all. Mossy Meadow. That could probably work, but it would just be a little bit dark. Regals. What is this one? Pumpkin Pie. Well, you know, we might have to use Garden Green. Garden Green is going to be the closest to green. I really wanted Call Me Clover. So I'm going to have to go back and rethink things now. Okay, so to start out, let's see, we'll use... And we might use two different pieces of paper because I might use the bees for the front and then the diagonal dashes for the other side. Sorry about all that. I know, that was like, are you kidding? You're the only one who could not find what you need? No, I could never find what I need. That's probably half of my problem. Maybe the honeycombs. So we're going to use the honeycombs and we're going to use a little piece of the bee paper with the actual little bees on it. So again, you do need a 12 by 12, but if I'm not mistaken, I feel like you can get two of these holders from one piece of paper. Hold on, let me just find my note here. Because it is 5, yep, so you can make two of these at once. So 5 3/4 by 12. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. And let me just move my little punches over here. I'm going to slide my coffee out of the way because that's all I need is to spill coffee on and on top of everything else. Because we're going ice skating today for Catholic Schools Week. So I wanted to do a video yesterday, but I kind of ran out of time. So I'm just going to cut two. And I did see somebody ask me if I had the second, if I did the revamped one, and I did not yet. So I'm going to kind of look as we go through this. So I'm going to use my Simply Scored for the other part. I am going to still need my trimmer because we're going to have to trim up some paper. But we have ice skating today for Catholic Schools Week. So it's like I knew I didn't have too much time, but if I start, that's why I started early today. I figured I at least could do something. So on the 12-inch side, we're going to score, and I will post all these measurements to the blog, so if you miss them, don't worry. We're going to score at 2, 2.5, 6, 9.5, 10.5, and 11.5. Okay, so again, 2, 2.5, 6, 9.5, 10.5, 11.5. Okay, now you're going to turn it so it's on the 5 3/4 inch side, and you're going to score it at a 1/2 inch, 1 inch. And now here's the thing, you can then do 4 3/4 and 5 1/4, or if you're worried your piece of paper is not exactly square, you could turn it around and do the same thing again. So 1/2 inch and 1 inch. Because this is going to be a complete copy when you're on the short side. The long side is a little bit different, okay? So now let me see if I can remember what I was supposed to do with the trimming portion. So I'm going to fold this in because I did not rewatch my video. I'm living on the edge this morning. I'm going to fold all of these. Let's see. I feel like one of these goes like in, out, in. Yeah, so this part here is going to be Mountain Valley because you're going to end up flipping this over. Let's see. Maybe I should have watched the video this morning. That might have been helpful, huh? So what I'm going to do is the part that's going to hold the Post-it note is probably going to be this, I feel like. It's going to hold it, and then this part back here is going to hold this back. Okay, it's kind of coming back to me now. All right, so this part is going to flap around. So I'm going to trim on the score line here. Let's see. I'm trying to think here. If you're going to bring this and that, and it's going to come in like that. So this part probably can go. You do that on both sides. And what I'm going to do is, when I'm finished with this, I actually will take a picture of the template of the other one. That way I'll put a picture of it on the blog, because that probably would have been smart to do that ahead of time. So I'm going to remove this little piece here. So hopefully nobody's following along doing this as we go, because if you are, you're probably cursing at me or you're really open to adventures. So let's see. So that will be here. This piece is going to be the part that holds the Post-it in. So you can see that. You'll be able to slide that in there. And actually, it is big enough that you probably could even, now granted I know this isn't a full stack, but you probably could fit a pen in here. See? Just depends on your Post-it note size, I guess. This one I think is 3 by 3. Let's see. Yep, 3 by 3. Okay, so there is that. And then this part is going to go back here at the end. So I feel like the rest of this, I think the whole entire rest of this came off. I'm sorry. I did even have breakfast this morning. That's probably what threw me off, is that I ate. All right, so let's see. So we're going against our fold lines. We're going to go like this. This. Here, here. We're going to have tape there. This part's going to go back here. This is going to go opposite. Only so it looks nicer with the fold. This part's going to stick like that. And you could even get a whole bunch of these made up ahead of time. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this. I feel confident I'm going to take the edges off. Hopefully I won't live to regret this. But you probably could make a whole bunch of these ahead of time and just not assemble them. So if you needed to store them and maybe you don't have a lot of space, you could kind of store them all flat in a container and then save them for when you needed them. So I'm just cutting along the score lines. just like so. Okay, so we got rid of that. So far, and I'm pretty sure this is right, we just have this little thing. These are the flaps that are going to hold it in. We've taken off the whole rest of the part. So let me just look at this one more time. We definitely are going to need tear and tape because you are going to want something that's very sturdy. So I'm going to put tear and tape on these parts because I know this is where it's going to get attached. You could use the paper trimmer, absolutely. I probably, if I was doing these for somebody and I was actually making them so they would look perfect, I certainly would as well. Because I can't cut as straight as I think I can. At least not anymore. I think I used to be able to, but too much coffee has impeded my cutting in a straight line. All right, so let me just go through. I'm going to just hit these real quick with the bone folder, so since I know where they're going to go. I do the same with this. Okay, so it's going to go up like that. Oh, one more. All right, so these are going to go here. I'm going to put my paper and my little front piece of DSP on first. Just trying to make sure that I have everything lined up squarely. This one's going to go back. It's kind of like an accordion fold that makes it stand up. You can probably even notch this in a little bit if you're afraid that you didn't cut those square unless you used your trimmer. So we'll put this little piece, oops, that came off, here. Even though I used a piece there, I'm going to put a whole piece on top. Okay, so what I said, we'll see if this is correct, that we needed some DSP to decorate. Now you could use a piece back here. If you wanted to put something back here, you could, kind of is up to you. You could put a little piece here in the front as well. So this one I claimed is 3 5/8 by 1 7/8. Let's see if that looks like it's about right, because it's probably about 2. Yep. 2 by 3 3/4. Okay, so that should work. And then this one will be 3 5/8 by 3 3/8. So it's going to be a little bit, need to be a little bit wider. I'm going to just trim this up just a little bit. Now you may be a little self-conscious about my cutting. Just cutting off that little score line. That will be the only other thing you need to keep in mind. If you're going to trim this with the trimmer, depending on if you trim the score line off or not, it might be just a hair slimmer than you think it's going to be. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to grab my paper. So what I think we're going to do is we're going to put the bees on the front panel here, which it's almost perfect. That way you can actually see them, because this is going to kind of be hidden behind the Post-it note. So we're going to put this on the front. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this. And I believe I said again, 3 5/8 is going to be the wide by 1 7/8. So 1 7/8 is the second hash mark before your 2 by 3 5/8. So 5/8 is the taller hash mark right past the, oh, that's not 3 5/8, that's 2 5/8. The second hash mark, or the big hash mark right past the 1/2 inch mark. So let's see if that fits on here. Be 1. Yep, so that'll fit on there nicely. Now also depending on this, here's one other thing. You might want to actually put your bees here, because if you decide to add a little greeting sentiment here, it could cover it up. So that kind of is also just up to your, your opinion of what you think you want it to look like. So now we're going to go over here and I'm going to cut a piece. I'm going to just cut this at 4 just in case I decide to use the other part of this paper for something else. So I like to cut this into strips of 4s. So 4-inch pieces, that way I'll at least get 3 pieces out of it. So we're going to go to 3 3/8, which will be the bigger hash mark one before the score line, the half mark line, and then we're going to cut to the same thing again, 3 5/8. Now for this paper, they're you can go either way, the honeycombs, but if you have one that's going to be directional, you want to make sure that you actually are going to cut it the correct way. So you could also make this a little bit longer because you see you have a gap down here, but this is going to be covered up. So quite honestly, you could cut it halfway if you're trying to save paper. So we're going to put these on. And I like to put these on before, that way you can really make sure that you get the glue pressed in. Oh my goodness, my tipsy fell over. My tipsy is tipsy. I'm just going to put this glue in here. And you really want to make sure that you stick it so it's not going to be wobbling around once they start using it, or that the paper is going to fall off. Okay, so that's the one, and then your little paper is going to go in there. And then I'm going to do the same thing for this one. Let me just make sure I like the way this lines up. It's not too close. No, that's pretty good. And then maybe we'll just put something really, a small something, because the other one I made was when we still had that coffee bean paper, which I love, and I still have that because I like it so much. I have made some projects for people with that coffee paper and the coffee stamp set, as a matter of fact. So that's one that I still really love and I use a lot. So there's the bees. And granted, another fun thing to do with this, if you wanted to, you could do this on black paper. It would really make the gold foil pop. So that's another idea as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off my release paper. And I like doing the side first before I do the back, just because it makes it a little bit simpler. So you're basically just going to line it up so it's square. Give it just a little bit of a press. That way you can make sure you have it right where you want it. So I'm just lining this up. Just like so. So just like that. And then once you feel like you have it in there good, I will take, where did it go, my bone folder, and just press the pieces in. All right, so there's that. And your little, which way is this? Flap goes to the bottom. You put that there. Let's see if we can fit, you could fit a little pen in there as well if you wanted to. Stampin' Up pen. Okay, so there's that part. So then all we have to do is add the back. Okay, and the nice part is once you make these, really, they are folded, but they will stand up. You could just smush a whole bunch of them together so they were flat, so you could do that too. So then we're going to just take off this release paper here. And same thing again, if for any reason you feel like you're not going to be able to line your paper up with the fast fuse or the tear and tape, you could always even put a little bit of liquid glue on top of it. Liquid glue will kind of give you that little bit of being able to wiggle it where you need it prior to setting it there, you know what I mean, permanently. You can kind of set it down. So I'm doing it from upside down, kind of making sure I think I like where it is, because it is going to stand up. And then once you have it, same thing again. I usually will either slide my bone folder in and press it from both sides. You can close it, kind of stick your fingers in and press it. You can even fold it down and then just really push the bottom with your bone folder. So there you go. Easy as that. And then you can put your stuff in there. Oops. And you could add a little pen. You probably could, if you wanted to, make it a little bit taller, but you would most likely have to use more than one piece of paper because this was made with a 12 by 12 sheet. So anyway, that's pretty simple. So hopefully that's big enough. Now you could always modify this to be bigger, because I know there are bigger, like for example, this, there are bigger Post-it notes here. So you could use them so they're wider. So if you wanted to do something wider, you would just have to measure your Post-it note. And then I kind of added about, I think, a ½ inch to each side for the flap and the flap. But pretty, I mean, pretty simple. Lots of different notes. Another one that I get a lot of are, this one's from Hershey, so you can put this in sideways. But I get a lot of the St. Jude notepads. Now, granted, they're not sticky notepads, but if you wanted to just be able to keep these all instead of having to surf through your drawer and find them, you could make one that would be a little bit wider like that as well. So that's another thing. I think I'm going to do the second one in the lily paper. And what I will do is I will actually draw, and I will have this all ready to go, but I won't actually assemble it. That way it doesn't get crushed. So if you go back and you leave a comment here, not this one, but the second one, I will have it all assembled, and all you'll have to do is put the put the backing together, but I will send this to whoever I pick for the comment winner. So make sure after the live, because unfortunately Facebook live comments, I'm sorry, YouTube live comments don't stay, but once you put them on after the YouTube goes live, so put, you know, something on there, leave a comment, doesn't really matter what it is, and I'll draw that for a winner for this. So I'm going to do still a little teeny something on the front. So let's see. You know, I don't have the bee set, because if I did, then I could probably add something that had like a slight of a bee pun to it, but I wanted something that's kind of a little bit small. And these are all a little bit bigger than I wanted. You are the best. That would fit on there nicely. That would be cute. Let's just do that, because we can add that just with like a little circle. So we'll do that one. Let me move this stuff out of the way just for a second. Let me grab and actually I'll back that. I'm going to back that on with a white circle. So that way we'll have a little bit of, I was saying we could do like a little bit of black as a contrast. So we'll do You Are the Best. We'll cut that out with a circle, and then we'll layer it with another black circle. You probably could even do two. You could do a black circle and then a gold foil circle will be really pretty as well. So we'll do this in, I'm just going to stick with black, and I'm going to use my VersaFine because this gives really nice detail to stamps. I really like this ink. I really wish Stampin' Up! Would carry it, and I've suggested it several times, but until then, I'll just buy my own. So this does take a little bit longer to dry because it is a pigment ink, but it really gives super duper nice detail to your letters. I mean, they're very crisp. They're really, really nice. So there we go. Let me get my circles. So I'm going to do this one in, if I can fit it in, a stitch circle, and then we'll layer it over with a little too small for that one. All right, so we're going to do this one with a stitch circle, and then we'll do a, I don't want to do a scallop circle, actually. I think I might just do a black. This almost might be too big. I might need to do this one as the black, because I don't want this to be too huge. Is that the same size as this one? That's one size up. Let's see if this one works. A little bit tight. This is just a tiny bit smaller. All right, so I'm going to cut it out with a layering circle. This is the 1, 2, 3rd. Yes, the 3rd smallest. And then I'm going to do a black stitch circle for the next one up. So let me just grab some black scrap paper. You could even do this with another piece of the DSP if you had something you were looking to get rid of. Ooh, will this one fit? Let's see. Nope, too small. Just going through all my little scraps here. We'll do that one. All right, so when you are using your regular die cuts, you want to use, if you're going to use your magnetic platform, I did whip out 2 of my new cutting plates, but I want to use 2 of these if you're using your dies. If you're using the folders, especially specifically the 3D folders, then you want to use the 1 blue plate and your regular cutting base. Okay, so I'm going to just put both of those on together, crank them through the Big Shot. And I think I'm going to do one more thing. I think I'm going to outline this white with just a little bit of, I'm going to go with mango because I feel like that's kind of got a little bit more of a golden color, and I'm going to use this dirty sponge that I already used yesterday, but it still was yellow. So I'm going to just kind of go on the edge. Kind of looks like that golden honey hue. Just to bring a little bit of yellow to this. There we go. Okay. And put this on with some glue, and then I'll pop the whole thing on with the dimensional. Just trying to be careful because that black could still be a little bit wet because that pigment ink does stay wet definitely longer than the dye ink. Just FYI, in case you didn't know that, because some people don't. And I'm going to just use the edge of my dimensionals here. This is just the end of my black dimensionals. I think I need to order more of these. So I need to go on and order 12 by 12 paper, black dimensionals. I think that's it, because I just did a big paper order not that long ago when they had that paper sale. So I hope this has helped someone today, whoever you may be. I'm not singling out Donna because I know she was making these the other day, but it would look really pretty, especially if you did the black, because it'll make the gold really stick out. But this is a really easy tutorial to make if you're looking to make a gift for the teacher, for secretaries, for someone that you work with that just needs a little something to hold their Post-it note in their pen that they can never find. It's a really fun project to make, really simple. Again, you do need to have 12 by 12 paper. That's probably the one only thing. But we definitely have 12 by 12 in several different things. And just give me 1 second here. I'm going to tell you, you probably could even make this with DSP. However, one thing is, if you did that, I would back it with a cardstock color because it's going to be a little bit flimsier. That's the only thing. So definitely you don't want to use any of the papers that are the specialty thin paper because they're going to be just a little bit too flimsy that they may not actually hold up with the Post-it note. But we have, hold on, I know we have some here because I'm going to order them as soon as we're finished today. Almost all of our papers, I think they finally brought back in the 12 by 12. So you have both of your in color assortments. You could get the 2019, 2021 or the 2018, 2020. And even though this paper is going to be disappearing soon, which, just a side note, this paper, these colors could be retiring because 2020 is the end. So when the new catalog comes out in June, there will be new in colors. So these could potentially be gone. I'm going to tell you one other thing. These colors, if there's anything that you really like or that it's really popular, they could sell out. So if there's something that you want to get, I would definitely start to think about ordering it soon. You might as well now because you could take advantage of celebration and get something extra as a bonus. But even worst case scenario, if you bought lovely lipstick and it is your favorite color, please, please make sure that you bought the re-inker, because once these are gone and they're retired, now they could carry one over. I don't know. Unfortunately, I'm not privy to any of that information with Stampin' Up. But if they decided that lovely lipstick was super popular, they could say we're going to incorporate it into catalog and keep it. But if they don't, you will never be able to get this re-inker again, unless it's on eBay, and it's going to be expensive. So right now you could buy it for $3.75, add it to your order, or else later on eBay you're going to pay $10 for this little tiny thing that you could have just paid $3.75 for. Okay, so make sure that if you do nothing else, if you have an ink pad, that you bought the re-inker for it, because that is really important to be able to refill your ink pad. As we know, some of them, specifically, I will say that my soft sea foam, which I really love, it does dry out much faster than others, and I think it's because it's just such a light, soft color. So you could get lovely lipstick, or you could get your whole in color assortment. So these are going to be retiring. So anything that has these colors in it, whether it's ribbon, paper, embellishments, once it comes to the end of the catalog season, they will be gone. So keep that in mind. But anyway, we have in colors for those. And I think we even have it now for all the rest of them. 12 by 12. Yep. Regals. And it's actually all the colors, because for a while there, they were giving you select colors. So I have the Regals and I have the neutrals. So I need to do the brights, the subtles, and then I'm going to get both of those 12 by 12s in the in color. So just as an FYI, they do coordinate nicely. So for example, usually they very, very rarely carry over any DSP from one catalog to the other. One year they did carry over the wood textures because people loved it so much. I think that was one of the only occasions where they did. So most likely, if any of these have one of the coordinating colors, they definitely would not carry over. So I'm looking right now. None of this is Purple Posy. These are all newer. Coastal Cabana, Blushing Bride, Blackberry Bliss. I feel like this one had something bright in it. Nope. Pineapple Punch, the dinosaurs. So probably in all likelihood, this would not carry over. The paper anyway. The stamp set could, but you never know. Sometimes they do surprise us with stuff that they do. And then The other thing is they also always have Very Vanilla and Whisper White in 12 by 12. So that's one thing that you can always get as well. I think the black, I don't think they have the pads of the black like they used to. No, because the black doesn't even come in the 12 by 12 pack of the neutrals. They used to have the black in a 12 by 12, and we have been asking. I'm gonna actually go and put that on there again, but I do have 12 by 12 black that I still have probably saved from a catalog or so ago. So just in case, if you're ever looking for something and you're not quite sure, in the back they do always have all the papers and inks and all the stuff that goes along with it. So I hope that you all have found this informative. I really hope that you will make this. It's a really simple holder for post-it notes. Again, this is in a whole pack, so a whole pack will fit in here completely. This is probably about a half of a pack that's left. If you have any questions about this, you can certainly leave me a comment here. I would say, unfortunately, if you've left it when it's live, it does disappear, so feel free to leave it again. If you're watching this on the replay, then you're good. And the reason you would know that is up here in the top, there is a red live button. It says live. So if you don't see that when you're watching this, it means you're watching the replay. So just as a little tip there. But you can always send me an email if you have a question, rachthestamper@gmail.com. If you'd like to get any of these supplies, you can head to my online store, which is rachthestamper.stampinup.net. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. If I have any time this weekend, I'll try and pop back on with you. And look at that, the sun's coming out now. I hope you guys have a beautiful weekend. Thank you so very much for stopping in, and I hope you take care.